Right, Mr Singh here again. We are looking at rivers in year 5, and what I want to look at today is the journey of a river. So, some of you will know some of the major rivers in the UK. The most popular one and well-known one is the River Thames. However, it is not the longest river. That title belongs to the River Severn. Now, the River Severn is 354 kilometers long, which is 220 miles, and I believe that the River Thames is around 346 kilometers long, so it's a pretty tight one. It starts in the Cambrian Mountains, mid-Wales, goes all the way through Shropshire, Worcestershire, Gloucester, pretty close to Birmingham if you're looking at that map, and you'll see that it's got different tributaries. The Stour, the Tame, the Wye, the Leadon, flows all the way through down to Bristol, where it goes underneath Brunel's Clifton Suspension Bridge and out into the Bristol Channel. And then that channel leads out into the Atlantic Ocean, which we cross to get to the United States of America. So it's a pretty good one. We're going to break down the stages of a river. So we're going to start with the upper course. And I want you to look at that picture, the one that my face isn't covering, and think about where rivers usually begin. What places do we find the sources of rivers? So, now you've had time to think about it. What we actually find is that the source of a river is often in an upland area because there's high levels of rain, precipitation and snow combined with steep slopes. Then it allows the water to flow over the land. Now the riverbed, the base of the river, is fairly shallow in the upper course. It's narrow and it's rocky. But as it moves over the rocks, the water becomes fast flowing and quite turbulent. If you imagine some rapids, well, it's quite narrow up there and then it starts to get faster and faster. But the water has enough energy to push boulders and rocks in its current. So the river, it's moving quickly. It's taking these rocks with it. And what it's doing is eroding, it's breaking away the land in the ground. And it's carving what we call the valley floor into that river shape. And it can't erode thick, heavy rock, but quite soft rock. It takes it away. And what you might find is that it creates waterfalls, which we will find out a little bit later. So, in this upper course, there might be several sources that come to join together. And as it's going downhill, it picks up more speed, more pace, breaks everything apart, and we lead towards the middle course. But as you can see, in these high areas, sometimes we see high force waterfalls, and this is in the River Tees, which is in the north of England, Teesside. So it seems like we can see some beautiful things from the source of the river in the upper course. Then we move to the middle course, and what you'll notice in the middle course is that the land becomes a lot flatter. The river becomes wider and deeper and begins to loop or curve. And the word for that loop or curve is meander. You can see it sort of snaking around. So the photograph you can see in the top left with that sunset is the River Cuckmore, and the flat land behind my head is the River Itchen. And if you want to go into Google Earth and see how different rivers meander, go for it. The River Ree is a Birmingham river, and you can see how it sort of twists and turns. Now you'll notice the land is flat because the middle course, the shape of the river constantly changes. Unfortunately, this is the type of land where we see a lot of flooding, and I know Mr O'Connell has told you to look at the floods in Bewdley. So move from the middle towards something called Oxbow Lakes. But if you look at the pictures here, this is how the rivers decide to erode. And you can see on the banks it turns quite sandy because the water is pushing against it and it is destroying the side of the land. So, if I'm going too quickly, remember I'm on a video, you can pause me, go back, relearn it. Oxbow Lakes. Now you can see the Oxbow Lakes here where it's kind of like a circle and it comes back on itself in the meanders. Now, as the river moves from the middle to the lower course, the meanders become bigger. Rivers can now make extreme loops, and with the erosion and the breaking together, breaking apart of all the rocks and the soil, these loops join together. And because it's getting wider and wider and wider, the river might start taking a straighter course. And eventually, as it starts to flow in a more straight course, you can see in that picture on the right hand side, some of the Oxbow Lakes are starting to disappear. So the first they join up, then the force of the river pushes it towards a straighter course, Oxbow Lake disappears. Now let's have a look at how they're formed. So the river meanders, it bends. More erosion, deposition of soil, the meander becomes more pronounced, bigger and more obvious. Then the force of the river makes it take a straighter course, and eventually the Oxbow Lake dries up, disappears, and is not part of that river anymore. So this is the Thames Estuary. This is the part of the River Thames that leads into the ocean, and I think it leads into the North Sea. And you can see the river meandering down, but it comes out into and forms all of these Oxbow Lakes and these little tributaries. Nice little figure there. This is what I want you to do, is to try and draw a diagram, if you can make it, fantastic, showing how the source of the river starts in those higher mountains. Got the water cycle, so it's raining more, so it's picking up more water, comes down thanks to gravity, meanders through, uses the Oxbow Lakes, and becomes wider and heads towards the mouth, towards the oceans and the sea.